Could the very blueprint of life itself hold a message?
Hmm.
It's a question that it might sound like pure science fiction.
It definitely has that feel.
But today we're doing a deep dive into a really fascinating idea. The possibility that the genetic code, within our DNA isn't just a biological instruction manual.
But something more.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
Perhaps an intentionally designed signal, maybe from an extraterrestrial civilization.
Wow, okay. So starting right out there.
Well, think about it. If you wanted to send a message across, unimaginable distances and spans of time,
Billions of years, potentially.
what could be a more enduring and, crucially, self-replicating vessel than life itself?
That's the hook, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
And what's intriguing here is that this isn't just like some fringe theory cooked up somewhere.
Right. It's been looked at scientifically.
It has. Back in 2013, two researchers, Vladimir Sherbak and Maxim Makov, they published a paper proposing what they called a biological SETI.
Biological SETI. So
Okay.
searching for ET inside us.
Yeah. Essentially, yes. Not just looking out at the stars, but looking within life itself. Their core argument, well, it stems from observing certain patterns in our genetic code.
Patterns. What kind of patterns?
Mathematical patterns, symbolic structures, things they felt appeared, let's say, too ordered, too structured, to have risen purely by chance, purely through evolution.
Okay, so give us an example. What kind of ordered pattern are we talking about?
Well, one thing they pointed to was specific numerical relationships in how codons are arranged. You know, those three-letter DNA sequences that code for amino acids?
Yeah, the basic building blocks.
Right. They highlighted, for instance, a surprisingly consistent mapping between the number of codons that code for a particular amino acid and that amino acid's actual atomic weight.
Huh. That does sound neat. Almost too neat.
That was their point. It's a level of correlation that seems, well, statistically unlikely if it were purely random.
So the idea is, if you wanted to send that interstellar message, embedding it in something that copies itself and lasts,
Yeah.
like DNA, it's actually a pretty clever strategy.
A very clever, very long-term strategy.
Okay, stepping back a bit then. We already know, scientifically, that DNA is just an incredibly efficient way to store information, right? Forget aliens for a second.
Absolutely. I mean, forget theory. We've demonstrated this potential ourselves technologically.
You mean like encoding data onto DNA strands in the lab?
Precisely. There was that work by Ehrlich and Zielinski, I think around 2017. They successfully encoded entire books, videos, even complex AI models into synthetic DNA.
And the storage capacity is just absurd, isn't it?
It's almost unbelievable. The estimates are around, 215 petabytes of data in a single gram of DNA.
215 petabytes. That's like all the world's data in a sugar cube or something.
Pretty much, yeah. It's mind-boggling density.
So, okay, building on that, could this incredible efficiency of DNA as storage be more than just a biological accident?
Could it be something recognized, perhaps utilized long ago by a very advanced civilization for, well, interstellar messaging? That's the leap.
And it's not just about cramming lots of data in. There's also the idea of hiding it, subtlety.
Exactly. That brings in concepts from synthetic biology. Recent research, like work by Lopez and colleagues just last year, explored DNA steganography.
Steganography, like hiding a message within an image, but here it's within DNA.
Precisely. Hiding a secret message in plain sight. They've shown ways you can encode information into synthetic DNA sequences without actually disrupting the DNA's normal biological functions.
So it could still build proteins and do its job, but also carry this hidden layer.
That's the idea, which, it really makes you ask, is that sequence of As, TSCs, and Gs just a recipe for life, or is it maybe a much more complex cosmic puzzle?
Hidden layers of meaning.
No.
It is a mind-bending possibility, absolutely.
It is.
However, let's pump the brakes slightly. We absolutely need to bring in let's say, the mainstream scientific view here. There's got to be significant skepticism about an alien code.
Oh, absolutely. And rightly so. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, as they say.
So what's the main counter-argument from, say, evolutionary biology?
Well, one of the most prominent voices here is Eugene Koonin. He's argued, pretty persuasively for many, that the really remarkable features of the genetic code.
Like its robustness, its efficiency.
Exactly. Its ability to minimize errors during replication and translation. He argues these are most likely the result of billions of years of, plain old natural selection.
So the code is so good, not because someone designed it, but because evolution relentlessly optimized it.
That's the evolutionary perspective, yes. The order we see is an emergent property of evolutionary pressures, favoring systems that are stable and make fewer mistakes, not necessarily intentional design.
Okay, that makes a lot of logical sense. Survival of the fittest code, essentially.
You could put it that way.
Yes. The people who proposed the alien code idea, they must have reasons beyond that numerical pattern you mentioned earlier. What else do they point to?
They do, and this is where it gets really thought-provoking, because it's not just one thing. It's a convergence of several, maybe slightly unusual aspects of the code.
Okay, like what?
Well, first there's its near universality.
Meaning it's basically the same code in me, in bacteria, in an oak tree.
Pretty much across all known life on Earth, yeah. From the simplest microbes to us, the same basic dictionary for translating DNA into proteins. Why just one system, essentially?
Interesting point. What else?
They also point to redundancy. The fact that multiple different codons, those 3-letter sequences, can code for the same single amino acid.
Right. There's some wiggle room in the code.
There is. And also, certain symmetries in the code's structure. Now, proponents argue these features, universality, redundancy, symmetry, seem a bit unexpected if the system was solely driven by the often messy, chaotic processes of biological evolution.
Less random looking than you might expect?
Perhaps. And then, of course, there are those mathematical properties we touched on, like the codon structure correlations that Scherback and Makukov focused on.
So, okay. It sounds like while we absolutely need that scientific rigor and high standards of evidence for, aliens in our genes, we maybe shouldn't just instantly dismiss these observations either, these apparent anomalies. Should they be investigated more, even if the explanation turns out to be purely natural?
I think that's a fair position. You don't want to discard potential signals just because they seem unlikely at first glance. It feels like we're looking at a complex picture, and maybe some pieces don't quite fit perfectly into the standard evolutionary story yet.
Which leads us to the really big picture implications, right?
Exactly. Let's just speculate for a moment. And it's huge, but if there were a message encoded in our DNA, what would that actually mean?
For our understanding of life, our place in the cosmos, the implications are profound.
Truly profound.
I mean, the most direct implication, like those original researchers suggested, is maybe we are the message.
Life itself is the signal.
Our very existence on Earth could be, in essence, a form of interstellar communication. Living messengers carrying some kind of cosmic signature baked into our biology.
And that connects very neatly, doesn't it, with the whole idea of panspermia?
The theory that life didn't originate on Earth, but came from elsewhere.
Right. The idea that microbial life, or its precursors, might travel between star systems, seeding planets. The alien code hypothesis offers a potential twist on that. Directed panspermia.
Directed, meaning it wasn't an accident.
Meaning life, perhaps already containing this embedded message or signature, was intentionally sent out to seed suitable planets like ours.
Wow. Okay, that completely reframes how we think about SETI, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence.
It really does. Instead of just pointing telescopes out there, hoping to catch a radio wave or a laser pulse.
Which we should still do, obviously.
Of course. But maybe a crucial part of the search involves looking inward, analyzing our own genome, the genomes of all life on Earth, with incredible detail.
Searching for anomalies, for patterns that don't seem purely biological.
Exactly. It suggests that understanding our own genome might unlock insights far beyond just medicine and biology. It could potentially tell us something about our galactic origins.
What if buried in the As, T's, C's, and G's, we find not just the recipe for life on Earth, but, I don't know, a message from whoever or whatever might have come before us.
It is a staggering thought, truly staggering.
And it leads to another huge point. If there is a message in there, finding it might actually be the easy part, relatively speaking. The real monumental challenge might be figuring out what it means.
Oh, absolutely. Deciphering it. What kind of language would it even be? Mathematical, symbolic, pictorial, somehow encoded?
After potentially billions of years, what information would be relevant or understandable across such timescales?
That's the ultimate puzzle box, isn't it? If we assume, just for argument's sake, that a message exists, what tools would we even use?
It would just be biology or genetics, would it?
No way. It would have to be massively interdisciplinary. Information theory, definitely. Advanced mathematics, linguistics, maybe even philosophy to consider the intent and meaning across cosmic voids.
A cosmic Rosetta Stone, hidden inside every cell.
A compelling image.
Well, this has certainly been a proper deep dive into something truly mind-expanding. It
Hmm.
really does make you stop and think about life, the universe, our connection to it all in a slightly different way.
It really does. And I think it encourages us, to keep that sense of wonder, keep an open mind, explore possibilities, even if they seem far-fetched initially.
Because you never know.
You never know. Sometimes the biggest discoveries are hiding just beyond what we currently think is possible.
So, something for you to consider as you go about your day. If there is a message woven into the very fabric of your being, deep within your DNA, what secrets might it hold?
Makes you think.
Stay curious, stay coded, and stay
Yeah.
cosmic.